Well, we're excited to play Missouri. Excited we have an opportunity to play it here in our home stadium. And they're a hot team right now. They've won their last 2 games and have a really good offensive line. They run the stretch play as good as anybody out there. And Tyler Beatty is tearing it up. You know, he's not only their leading rusher, but leading pass receiver by a long ways. Defensively, Jeff Cote is a guy that we have to be aware of. Very, very good player. Byers is a really nice inside player. And then number 1, I think his name is Carlisle. Jalen Carlisle is a really good safety, makes a lot of plays. So they're coming in here, I'm sure, with a lot of confidence. And we're excited to have a big crowd here. I'm hearing estimates of between 65 and 70,000, and we certainly hope that's the case because they certainly, I believe, the crowd, Razorback Nation, helped us win the Mississippi State game. So we're encouraging everybody to have a whole lot of turkey and come out and help us win on Friday. With that, I'll visit with any questions you want.
Coach, I think you said you jumped into practice yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
How was that coming off of, I mean, you had a game on Saturday and you jumped right into it on Sunday. How was the players, the mood and everything?
Yeah, I tell you, in all honesty, Trey, we were surprised. The practice was outstanding. We're electing this week to go in spiders the entire week. That was not the case until yesterday's practice. I felt like we needed to thud, bang a little bit. Obviously, they, like I said, they run a really nice stretch play. That's their bread and butter, I think. They're good in the gap schemes too, but wanted to fit it up. But because of the speed of practice last night, I felt like we could get our work done and make sure that we heal up a little bit and make sure that we get our best players to Friday at 2:30. So to be honest with you, the kids surprised me of how ready they were to go out and practice.
Speaking of healing up, Traylon Burks has obviously got banged up a couple times in the game. How's he feeling right now?
Well, he practiced yesterday. He's not sore, but I believe he'll be fine.
Just as far as Missouri, just kind of what do you look for from them, especially Beatty, just kind of what kind of a back is he and what does he do?
He's really good. He's shifty, fast, sees the field really well. He'll cut back on you. He stays on track on that stretch play they run. He stays on track until the last minute. Doesn't seem like he ever has a bad read. His offensive linemen are really good at this. They're going to turn and run. And any type of movement doesn't hurt them because they're running pretty flat as they run out there. So he's also exceptional. They use him a lot, throwing the ball to him. And he's got really good receiving ability, just a tough kid and really having a great year.
Also, just what Bannister and Byers have done, I mean, does that make you in recruiting give even closer looks to Arkansas kids?
Well, yeah, I probably they're good players, but I can't really speak on what happened recruiting when I wasn't here. But we don't want to let our good ones leave the state and go play for, especially a team that we would consider a rival game for us.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. The nature of this is so fresh still, really. And can it become a big rivalry? Do you sense that there's more to it now with Barry on your staff and these guys and all that?
Well, I think so, and obviously we have some players that, transferred here from the University of Missouri. And of course, Trey Williams came, but it wasn't, necessarily from Missouri. It was from Houston here. But that probably has heated up the rivalry a little bit, you know. Anytime you have a trophy game, I think it elevates the rivalry as well. But we should be, you know, this should be it. We're close. The two schools are close, and we have a trophy to play for, and have a lot of respect for Missouri. But I like the fact that we're trying to get this to be a rivalry game. Obviously, rivalry games aren't any good if you don't have two separate winners every now and then. And it's good for the ones that winning all the time. But Missouri's beaten us several years in a row. And so it's probably a little bit more of a rival for us since we haven't been able to beat them.
I wanted to follow up with this one. Could you have imagined like the immediate respect that you built with this program? And it started the first half of your first game here, and then you rise to number 8 in the polls. Could you have pictured that when you took this job, that it could have been this quick?
Well, you know, it's hard because you never really look that far ahead, you know, but I knew I had really good coaches. I knew we were able to hire good coordinators and good position coaches and strength coaches and all those things. So I knew we had a chance there from the coaching aspect and the leadership aspect. I really didn't know a whole lot about what we had on the team. I think the biggest thing that we did is we came in and it was the guys on the team weren't Coach Bielema's or Coach Morris's kids. They were ours. And I think we didn't try to run one guy off, nor did we try to keep anybody. And I think we treated them all about the same, and expectations high for all of them, regardless of whether they're a Burks, a Jefferson, a Morgan, or whoever it may be, to a walk-on guy that's helping us in the scout team because he's got a lot of value. So no, I really, to be honest, I haven't really thought about that. The season goes so fast, and you get ready for teams every week so much that, you know, there might be time, you know, reflect, but then you go to recruiting and spring ball. And that's the greatest thing about coaching in college is that it never gets stale. You know, I taught high school, and every now and then, I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to go into that health class, you know, especially on weight loss section or tobacco usage. You know, those weren't good for me. But this keeps you fresh.
How do you evaluate just generally the job that Barry Odom has done on your staff, and what can you say about him and his time here so far?
Well, he's done a great job for us. He's been a valuable asset to me and everybody else in the program. He's just a really good man and knows what he's doing, and I'm just really proud and happy that he's on our staff.
Senior days are kind of tricky these days with super seniors and whatnot. Is there anybody that's walking that maybe we didn't expect to, or you got any idea how that's going to shake out?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think there's anybody that Dalton Wagner's not going to be out there. So that would be maybe a sign. But I don't know if it really matters, to be honest with you, because, you know, last year, all those guys walked out there last year and then came back, but I think Dalton is the one that I saw that he not refused, but what do you call it? When he said he didn't want to accept that. Dalton's a really cool guy, and he's you know, he had told me he's going to come back, and I asked him maybe a week or two ago, you know, he's went through finger surgery and all those different things. And he just said, Coach, I told you I was going to come back, and that's what I'm going to do. And so there's one. I don't know about the rest of them, you know, and I'm sure I'll get asked about Burks and all that. And I haven't had the chance to sit down and talk to him about the information I have. we'll see how that. I will this week, and we'll see how that works out.
How do you see recruiting visits and stuff for this one playing out? Because it's day after Thanksgiving, but it's 2:30 game. How do you think it's going to work out with having recruits up here for the last game?
I think we're going to be fine there. We have several guys coming in. We don't have any officials this weekend, but we'll have a big weekend next week, the week after this, and the week after that. But I think we'll have, just as the crowd is going to be what we anticipate, a big number. I think we'll have a big number of kids. Obviously, some cases they're still playing, and in some cases they're Thanksgiving and not be able to come. But I think the numbers that we have projected to come are pretty high.
Coach, I know Hudson Clark didn't make the trip this past weekend. What's his status? And is there anybody else maybe banged up that's going to be limited at all in practice this week?
Well, I think the spiders are going to help us a little bit, where we might limit some guys a little bit more if they were in shells or in full pads. That was another thing going into it. I really don't. To answer your question, Hudson practiced yesterday. He was in a green, but I think we'll be able to have him back. Other than that, I think we're beat up, banged up a little bit, which you're going to be when you make the run through Mississippi State and LSU and Alabama, but not to the point where I think it's going to really affect us. I don't think so. We didn't have anybody set out of practice, I guess. We had one that set out of practice yesterday.
And Dominique had been kind of the workhorse the last couple of weeks. And then I think this past week it was more evenly distributed at the running back spot. Was that something you planned going into that game?
No, not at all. We got to a point to where Dominique had come out with banged up a little bit and he's still not, Rocket's still a little beat up and with an injury and Smitty came in. I thought he ran the ball hard and did some good things. And of course, I think AJ is a guy that, man, he had 2 runs against Alabama that he hadn't done before. In other words, he was in a pile of guys and got another couple yards. The 3rd and 1 on our back end copy, they cut it off because they thought he was done, and then he goes in there and gets another 2 yards and gets the first down. So if he can start doing that, he's going to be a really good player for us. If he can be, go get those hard yards. So I think he had 4 touches and they were all successful plays, if I'm correct there. So no, it just happened to be that we were a little beat up with a couple of guys, and it worked out a little bit different than what maybe we would have planned going into the game.
Missouri couldn't stop the run there for a while. And the last 2 or 3 games, it seems like they've been pretty good against the run. What kind of adjustments did they make? Do you know? And then also the kicker. It's going to be a week where usually you guys, Cam Little, out kick most people, but their kicker's pretty good too. What do you think about him and just run stopping on defense for them?
Well, I think he's really good. I think he made 5 maybe against us last year, and so I mean they got him a good one there. What was the question before? Oh, the run. They're moving more up front than over the last couple of weeks. They bring a lot of edge pressure, depending on what your formation is, where they're bringing it from. But to me, they've always played hard, but to me, it's just about the movement and depending on if you have a running quarterback or not, some things that they've taken advantage of, certainly on their defense.
You guys were leading the country in runs of 10 or more yards going into last week. You're number 2 now. What does that stat say about maybe what your run game is about and the diversity of guys who've had 10-yard runs,
Well, it probably says a little bit about the offensive line, that they're doing a good job. It says a lot, I think, about the misdirection and KJ holding people on the backside. I mean, if you look at the Alabama game, him and the tight end on the backside held two back on the back end. And so basically, if you're saying, hey, if we can hold these guys back here, it gives you a little bit bigger alleys, makes that Willie or Mike linebacker, depending on your formation, makes him have to run a little bit further. And then just the diversity of how Kendall calls his plays and whom he uses and things. So, once we get in a rhythm where, we had five drives, I think, over 75 yards. And once we get that first down, and we don't sub where they can't either, it makes it difficult on our opponents at times.
You guys started off pretty strong last week. I mean, you moved the ball a little bit, probably got a little bit of confidence from that, but there was, I think, a couple missed blocks on the offensive line, and I think Ricky maybe snapped the ball early and stuff. But
yeah,
it seemed like from that point on, after that, everything settled down. What did you guys say to them to get that straightened out?
Well, to be honest with you, start of the game, I think we had 3 efficient runs in a row. I think we gained 4 and then a first down, and then so it didn't feel like LSU. It felt like we're going to be able to run the ball and then obviously play action and all those things off of it. And then it wasn't the line. We had a wide receiver twice in that game. One wasn't set, and then the other one was lined up in the neutral zone pre-snap. Then Ricky obviously was very loud, and Ricky thought he heard, a clap, and he snapped it, and we gave him 3 right there, then and there. And then after that, we talked to him about, hey, look, it's another team out here. We're prepared. We're ready for this day, and just relax, and let's communicate, put their mind somewhere else in the scoreboard, and seemed to work out all right. We just kept talking about get that first down, win first down, and they were prepared, and they did a nice job with it.
I guess before and after last year's game, have you had many interactions with Eli Drinkwitz? Have you guys talk or?
No, not really. I mean, no.
Coach, going back to this group of seniors, just in your eyes, what have they meant to the team this season and also in the overall trajectory of the program?
Well, I think everything, for them to believe, to come back, we didn't do a whole lot last year. We were 3-7 but for them to believe that they could come back and they wanted, bowl opportunities and an opportunity to, be ranked and, all those type things that they never had. I found out that from Grant, I didn't know this, that, I show the trophy each time we have a trophy game, and they'd never seen it. We don't have a guy on our team that won the Battle Line, the Southwest Classic, nor the Boot. We don't have a guy until this year that's ever been in a game and we beat LSU or A&M or Missouri. And so them to come back and have a chance to win one of those trophies or beat those guys and see them able to do that is really fulfilling as a coach. And, to be honest with you, it's all about them and not about us. It's all about them, and they're the best recruiters we have when we go out and win games. And we have an opportunity to have all 3 of them. And I don't think this is bulletin board material, but we want them. And it's never been done in the history of Arkansas. And I know that that history's short because, the trophies haven't been here all the time, but to have them all three would be a big deal for us, and we'll see if we can get them or not.
Does what Bauer has done the last 2 weeks off the fakes, I mean, does that have an effect not only as a holder, but as a punter too, where teams are going to be a little goosey about what he could do?
Well, when we put it in, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. That first day, he was throwing them over there, over here, over here. And I said to Fountain, we were in there and Fountain said the same fakes here. And I said, well, I don't want to run the same fake. Let's run Kern at the guy he blocked last week and then run him inside and see if Bauer can throw. Well, then Bauer did. It was terrible. And so I'll give Fountain and Bauer credit, man. They went over there all week. They kept asking me if it's there, will you run it? I said, oh, yeah, I'll run it. But I ain't going to run it if you ain't going to, if you can't throw it. And but hadn't he been valuable, man? Did he have a game or what? I mean, he punted extremely well. Our gunners, TJ Hammond, those guys got down there. I mean, the hang time on one of them, we gained 50, netted 50, and TJ was standing right there, had the fair catch it, got it, punted us out 50 yards out of our own end zone, when, late in the game, I think when we were down 6 with about 8 minutes left in the game, and he punted it out there. Unfortunately, they scored, but he got us off the goal line out there.
I don't know if you heard, but on Saturday, Grant said he would not have come back if it weren't for you. And we can't poll every player that came back, but I get the general sense that a lot of them wouldn't have come back if not for you and the coaching staff. What do you think of, their point of view on why they came back?
Well, I mean, we don't want to let them down. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. If somebody comes back, it's, usually got a lot of reasons to it, but it's usually that they like the culture or the way things are going in the building. And at that point, once they did that, not only were they investing in us, it made our investment in them even greater because we didn't want to fail them. And obviously we've lost 4 games and all those things that we don't want to do. But if we can win Saturday, we feel like, in some shape or form, we've had success for our program. And bottom line, it's very humbling that he would say that, but at the same time, it's just a higher investment for us when those kids decide to come back.
When you have success in a season, it's usually not the upcoming recruiting class where that's like impacted,
Yeah.
but the next one. So how have things been with response from the 2023 class? And do you think it's opened any doors that might not have been there before?
I think so. I mean, certainly we're in the conversation with more kids that you might call higher stars or whatever you evaluate. So it has helped us tremendously. I think especially, I know it nationally, we've been on TV a bunch, on national TV, but I think it's really helped us in the state of Texas and the bordering states. We had a good visit down in Louisiana with our coaches. And when we went there, had good visit in Alabama. I know they're not bordering, but when we went on the road, the Hogs pretty strong out there right now. It's helped us.
When you went back and looked at the film, is there anything you would have done differently? And if so, how can you use that for this final game before the bowl?
Well, I think starting on defense, I think, we tried a lot of things, tried to man coverage and we tried to zone coverage and we tried to match cover them. We tried blitzing, so obviously with the total of 42 points, the answer would be yes, we would try to do something else. I'm not positive, the guy, we were in cloud coverage and the guy run right by us, which you have 3 guys deep. You had one guy right in the middle and he ran right by us. So, or not the guy, Jameson Williams ran right by us. And obviously every time you look at film, you're going, well, maybe we should adjust here. But I thought we were pretty good in the game of trying to make some adjustments. Offensively, I thought we started a little slow, not physically, but we didn't score early in the game. I think we got down 10-0, and not a whole lot. I thought it was two really good football teams out there, and I think both of us had really good game plans against the other, and we just ended up 7 short. But obviously, we can block and tackle better and things of that nature. But schematically, I think we tried about everything we could on defense, and especially with we had some injuries there, and so we were down some guys a little bit. But other than that, I don't think so.
People said in preseason that his standard maybe for KJ and completions was 65%. KJ's at 66. Do you think he's merited some talk, for next year? Best quarterback in the SEC, best quarterback in the country, one of the best? You think?
Yeah, I don't know why not. I mean, he's sort of like me. They had him 14th in the league too, and he way ahead of me. I get that, but I think that's a driving. I think that's motivation for him. But if you notice the way he throws the ball right now versus what he did against Rice, I'm just talking about mechanics. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to lose him. I mean, I think I don't want to trade. Pretty good.
My last question for you today is this. The kids today now say, are they giving you love? And you got a lot of national love from the press when you were 4-0 and number 8. Did you feel that? I mean, could you kind of feel and sense from the fans what was happening and what this year has been like?
What I felt from our fans is when they show us, and that's, all the time. Arkansas is just so unique, and the fans are so unique. But when they start filling this place up in here, you could feel it. And, it started with the Rice game. I think we had over 65,000 or 63,000 in there, and then it went sold out. The Hog fans, the Arkansas fans everybody says that they got the best fans, this, that, and other, but I'd put them up against anybody in the country.
Do you get a sense from Dominique that this game may mean a little bit more to him, considering the way his recruitment and everything went down? And is that something you kind of lean on as like motivation?
I don't. I think I really don't. I think Dominique's just trying to play his best ball.
Go ahead, Mike.
Take your time, Mike. We're meetings at 2:30. We're good.
On that last drive, when it was 4th and 11 at the 35, and you were originally going to punt, and then you called timeout. Some fans have emailed me and claimed that you overruled Bryles, that he wanted to punt, you didn't, and all that. Can you explain what went on there?
You want to know the truth?
Yeah.
All right. This is the truth. We had played such a good game, and we are down on the 35 and we're 14 down. And I go, if we don't make it, they're going to score again. And there's a chance they can score again and beat us by 21. And that's not going to be the telltale. And in that time, when I sent the punt team out there versus the time that I called timeout, I said, I ain't giving these kids a chance to win. And if I do this, they're going to hold it against me, and I'm going to hold it against myself forever. No matter what the outcome is, we got to play to win. And that's exactly what happened.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.